that we can just post it later. So that's okay. I'm going to reintroduce this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Juice in the Morning. I'm your host, Justin Juice Kelly. I've got with me to my left on the screen is Josh JX. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Great. I'm fantastic. I'm going to get really frustrated with the technology, so I'm going to stop looking at the Facebook Live. It's going to piss me the fuck off right now.
Super
we're just going to stay away from it. We're going to stay away from it. But Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you do the trivia at local establishments. Yeah. Give us a little bit of background of what you're doing and that kind of stuff.
Sure thing. Well, my name is Josh JX, and I in the evenings I host trivia all around Indianapolis when the weather and the COVID aren't attacking people. I also have a YouTube channel, The Real Josh JX, all one word, youtube.com/realjoshjx. Do little animated videos. It's going to be a minute. The next one's coming out to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Really super fucking stoked about that one because I spent a lot of hours working on it, and it's a lot of voice acting.
Yeah, you're doing some like voice acting and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, dude, it's crazy, and I'm really excited. Other than that, I work as a recruiter in the skills trades. So if anyone, if an electrician or a plumber, you send them my way and I'll get them employed.
Yeah, nice. I know quite a few of those. But then to my bottom left in the corner over here, we've got friend of the show, a member of the Highly Inappropriate podcast, a dude with a fantastic, beautiful mullet, Chris Duncan. How are you doing today, brother?
Hey, I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm glad to have you back, man. I feel like it's been forever since we've seen each other in person. And it literally has because of this whole pandemic bullshit.
It definitely has been. We need to get out on a golf course sometime soon.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I come on this show, dude, I always have a good time. So kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be good, dude. These questions are really fun. It's fun to, share with the Facebook audience, even though they're not going to be able to really respond. I feel like real time because I want to see if anybody's saying that it's still cutting in and out. Yeah, it is. It's pausing. Whatever, dude. I have the fastest internet that you can buy from Xfinity. It's bullshit. Oh. Anyways, directly below me, joining the podcast for the first time is stand-up comedian Kristin Carnes. You've done a comedy festival, and you've got quite a few other things going on. Tell us about yourself. You're the first time coming on the Juice in the Morning podcast. Welcome. We appreciate you joining.
Thanks for having me, Justin. I'm so excited to be on at night for Juice in the Morning.
It's always recorded at night. I always record it at night so people can listen to it in the morning on their commute. But obviously, a lot of people aren't commuting right now, so we're struggling with the name, but it's still going to stick. That's what we're going to do.
I'm just glad I didn't have to be on at 7 in the morning. That's too early for me during this pandemic.
Yeah.
So I'm Kristin Carnes, not Dan Sitzel, like it says on my. That's the husband's name. I did not take that awful last name with 2 Z's in it. And I founded the Waukegan Comedy Jam, which is a mini stand-up festival. We did it for the first year last year in my hometown, which is Waukegan in Illinois, north of Chicago. We're halfway between Milwaukee and Chicago.
That's awesome. That's
awesome.
I was doing a little bit. Okay, so I've gotten made fun of by my comedian friends, but I was kind of dabbling in stand-up. I was going to open mics. I was writing. I was doing a lot of that stuff. And my goal for this year was to do enough stand-up to be good enough to get invited to a festival. Clearly, that's not going to happen because A, I had a baby, B, pandemic, C, got a new house. So, literally all the stuff that could pull me away from writing and stop me from doing the stuff that I want to do happened this year. So I'm taking it as a sign I shouldn't do stand-up comedy. I'm not that funny anyways. So this is just a sign not to do it.
Oh, don't sell yourself short there, Justin.
I mean, I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian when I grew up. And I used to tell people all the time, they just laugh at me. So don't feel bad.
Yeah,
you still have time to grow up, man.
The first guy I told was a boyfriend back in my 20s. I wanted to do stand-up, and I swear to God, he looked at me and he went, "Ooh, I've heard funnier." He did not get lucky that night.
It's really funny because it's similar to the story that I always tell is a lot of stand-up comedians I've met because of the podcast. I'm a big fan of stand-up, so I like to interview people and talk to them about stuff. The comedians I've had on always kind of tell similar story. If you've ever been told you're funny by a person in public, you should, they say that the stand-up comedians usually tell people they should try to do stand-up because if you can be funny that way, if you can try to do it, then you could probably be successful. And what I always tell them is I never was told I was funny in person. So I'm still going to try stand up, but I've never been told that, because I have a buddy, the co-host of the Juice in the Morning podcast, Johnny, always gets told by the stand-up comedians, like, hey, dude, you should do stand-up, because he's making them laugh in the smoking section outside of the bar or whatever. And he's too hesitant to do it. He doesn't want to get up there on stage. So I was like, well, I'll get up there on stage and I'll try to write. I feel like I'm a pretty decent writer. So it's been fun, and we're going to keep doing it, but got to get settled with the baby. That's a crazy situation.
Yeah, I can imagine. My cats are a bitch, so I can't even imagine having kids.
Yeah, and the crying and not having any idea why they're crying is really tough for me, because I'm like a problem solver. I have to like have an answer for something, and when I don't, man, I can see why people get real stressed out. And like, I mean, the shaken baby thing, they tell you in all the books, it's a thing. You're thinking about that in the back of your head. But what we've been doing with the live Thursdays is answering these pod deck questions and kind of like reacting, and I've just been doing it by myself. So I've been asking the viewers and the listeners and that kind of thing to kind of respond. But I also think it's going to be cool to have, you guys, because you guys can voice your opinion or your answer, as opposed to just like typing a message on the Facebook Live. So I'm going to just start in the same way that I introduced everybody. So when you think about success, who comes to mind and why? Josh, start with that. When you think about success, who comes to mind and why?
Easily, and everyone's going to call me a huge nerd, but J.K. Rowling, the person who wrote all of the Harry Potter books, and that eventually became movies and video games and phone apps and all this other bullshit. She went from nothing. Like, she was literally writing down ideas on napkins in a coffee shop. And the story goes is that some publisher saw those and was like, hey, I need to talk to this lady. And then she goes, I was thinking about putting it in one book. And they're like, no, this is 7. And then wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Here we are 20 plus years later. And she's a millionaire now. She's been donating her money, but was a billionaire, now is a millionaire.
What was the real weird stuff that she like got kind of like canceled for on Twitter? Did you guys hear about that?
I don't remember that. What
She's
happened?
She's transphobic.
Yeah, like what? Like, where does that come from? Because like, didn't she say that she came out and like, even though it's never explicitly stated in the books that Dumbledore is like homosexual, she said he was homosexual. So then what was the, like, I don't even know what the tweet is. I'm going to look it up.
So she don't like trannies? That's what it is? Okay. I my bad. I was thinking she might not like Dunk Man. See Dunk Man back here?
No, and that is a segment that the Highly Inappropriate has talked about before because of the news articles regarding the trans community. It started with the GameStop guy that flipped out and was like throwing a fit.
Yeah.
He took a picture and photoshopped Chris.
So I'm Dunk Man.
Yeah,
and he called it Dunk Man.
Yeah,
it's a running joke.
But no, do you know what the tweet was? J.K. Rowling's.
I think it's a number of comments she's made. I don't think it was just one tweet.
Yeah, it just says over Harry Potter authors, trans tweets. Yeah, I'm not going to read that whole article. We can move on. We can move on to Chris Duncan. Chris Duncan, when you think about success, who comes to mind and why?
When I think about success, I can go a lot of different routes. I could go with like my grandfather. Like, I think the successful man, you know what I mean? To keep it intimate, keep it close. Or I could go with like Bill Gates. I mean, the richest man alive. Like, that's got to be the most successful, correct?
Yeah, and why would you say he's successful though? Is it just because he's made all the income?
When you can set your house to like when you walk into certain rooms, it turns to the temperature as soon as you walk into the room. That's pretty successful, I would say. Yeah. I'd like to have that in my garage right now because it's about 97 degrees.
Oh, I'm sure you're sweating your balls off. I'm assuming from that fresh shave that the balls got to trim too. I'm assuming.
I didn't have time, man. Didn't have time.
Because that would cause a little bit more, I feel like, friction.
Little stitch,
sweat,
yeah.
On natural, baby. On natural.
How do you trim up there?
I mean, I got a mullet, dude, so I got to have a 70s bush to go with it, you know?
Oh, God.
Yeah, and then Chris, real quick before we go to Kristin, what would you say, because you mentioned your grandfather, what would you say, because I have a similar answer, what would you say like made him successful and like what qualities that you've gotten from that?
I mean, it's where I got all my just his worth ethic. You know what I mean? Like going to work every day, raising a family, being successful, like in that sense of life, and then also coming home and being the best dad and grandfather ever. Like you know what I mean? Like, just I don't know. He touched so many people. Like my uncles, his kids and sons and daughters, and then their grandkids. His grandkids are their kids, and the same to them. Like I don't know. He's my hero.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And then I'm going to ask you, Kristin, the same thing. When you think about success, who comes to mind and why?
Well, a friend of mine does actually, who I went to high school with, because we went. Waukegan's kind of it's a working class town. You don't hear about Bill Gateses and people like that coming from Waukegan. And a friend of mine, China, has moved her way up the ladder in sports administration, and she's working at a big public university out west. She's in the upper echelon. She's the only female. She's the only person of color on the higher administration at this school. And she's
impressive.
Just really, really worked her butt off to start off as a volleyball coach, and now she's in the upper administration of athletics. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and she's a good person, makes me laugh, and I'm just really happy for her.
That's awesome. And and also mentioning like that you said small town, like working class type area. That's got to be tough for a woman and a person of color. Like I grew up in a small town, and I don't know if that would have gone the same way.
Yeah, I mean it's not necessarily small. I mean 75,000, maybe 80,000 now, but it has a bad rep, unjustified, I think. And it's just nice to see someone do so well from there and give it a good name.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I like to go last just because it's better to get your guys' answers. Mine is similar to Chris. Like my first thought was like Michael Jordan. Like that's the epitome of success, But like that's sports, and that's like not as personal. Everybody kind of knows it. So I like to get a little bit deeper and a little more personal during these, because we are sharing them with the Facebook Live as well as a podcast. The person that comes to mind is similar to you with the family. It was my uncle. My uncle kind of had the same kind of trajectory as me. Like he kind of had a rough time coming out of high school, didn't really know what he wanted to do, tried to play sports in college. He actually ended up losing his scholarship because he went on a vacation with his like then girlfriend at the time and like missed like baseball training camp or something like that. And they yanked his scholarship. So he was kind of floundering around. His dad started a business that he ended up kind of taking over and running for his dad, like while his dad kind of retired and went to Florida, and just kind of always took care of me. And I feel like I'm kind of getting to be like a sad sap on these stupid fucking Facebook Lives.
Hey, let it out, bub.
But I never did. Like I didn't have my dad growing up, and he was like my dad. Like him and my aunt were like my other parents. And I mean, he was the first person to catch me looking up like boobs on the internet because he had that warehouse, and like he would like babysit me sometimes after school, and he'd like pick me up and I could go hang out and play on his computer because he had the T1 internet line. Wasn't that like the fastest at like in the 90s or whatever?
That's when he knew that his influence on you was a success. When he caught you doing that.
Because you gotta hear this story. It just made me think of it that I said the boobs on the internet thing. He found that
Dolly Parton.
He found that in the search history. He found it in the search history, but at the same time, he called me out into the garage, like later on the weekend, and was like, "Hey, I just want to tell you, I found this search history on my computer, and the only two people that have been able to be in my office are you and the janitor." And
that dirty janitor.
And I looked at him and I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about. It was the janitor."
I hope it was normal porn and not like something with furs and bronies or something.
I'm jealous. As a kid, you had the internet. Like I had to steal Grandpa's '78 Playboys and take them out in the woods with my buddies and smoke cigarettes.
Yeah,
it was Trish Stratus. I looked for Trish Stratus nude and didn't find any nude pictures. But but what's funny is he told me that he knew I was lying. So he went in further into the story, and then a week later told me that he fired the janitor.
Oh,
and he
man.
told me
Make
that
you
it was
feel
really
bad?
yeah. And then I fessed up to it.
Awesome.
I told the truth. I was
That'd
like,
have been
dick
awesome
move.
if you'd have been like, yeah, that dirty pervert.
Fucking asshole.
but no, he's who I look up to. They're down in Florida now. Great guy. Like, I don't know if I'm going to retire to Florida. I don't know if I'll ever be able to retire, but that's who I think of when I think of success, is him and my Aunt Laura, Uncle Kevin and Aunt Laura. So we'll just move on real quick into the next question. Josh, we'll start with you again. What is
Great.
something you like that most people don't?
Oh, wow.
Oh, this is going to seem really weird. Okay. So my favorite part of the summertime is on Saturday nights. I like to go down to the southeast side of Indy. There's this place called the Speedrome where
Okay.
magic happens.
Oh, yeah.
And what they do is they take these race cars, and instead of racing them in an oval, they race them in a figure-8 pattern, so they have to cross in front of each other. And sometimes sometimes there's a certain smell that comes off those cars, and when it hits with the food, the spilt beer, and the BO all together, it just smells so fucking good. And it's like that thing, you know, like when, hold on, hear me out.
Oh
You know,
my
like that
God.
thing when it just rains and you're running through a field of daisies and roses barefoot, and you're like not getting cut up, but you're getting a little cut up, but you don't give a shit because it's beautiful and it smells wonderful. That's God, I fucking love it so much. Oh
It
my
doesn't
God,
smell like that.
I can't wait until Saturday, man. I'm so stoked
I love
for
that
Saturday.
smell too. I would cheers you if you were here right now.
Well, listen here, real quick. Let's do it. Come on, 1, 2, 3.
So-
Boom.
So
There it is.
they say that smell and that kind of stuff is the strongest tied to memory. So I assume you have very fond memories of that place, and
Yep.
there's a lot of good things tied with that. So it's probably the smell, and it's probably like that atmosphere. When you
Yep.
get in there, it's like, oh man, like one of that, like a similar smell and like a similar experience for me is like when you go out on a golf course, like on a hot morning at like 7 or 8 in the morning, and you have that first Bloody Mary or beer of the day, and you're just like looking out at the mist on top of the grass. Like that's a feeling I get that I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But I think a lot of people like that. So it's
Yeah.
not
Till
the
you hit
same.
that. Till you hit that first drive. And
Oh,
you're
I
like,
know.
why do I do this shit?
Oh no, I'm getting good, Chris. I'm getting good, man. I'm not
Oh,
worried
you
about the
kill
drive
me.
anymore.
I'm horrible.
But
And
Chris,
also real quick, to be fair, I also really like Maury Povich baby specials.
Oh,
Shut up. I
That-
feel like I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
everybody
but
loves that though. That baby
are you
don't look
sure?
like me. I'm telling you, dude. That's like, oh my gosh. I used to sit at home when I
my
got to
God.
stay home during the summer and just watch those over and over.
I'm sorry.
you must go to the laundromat because that's what's played at the laundromat.
No, I got
yeah.
hooked on it in college. So
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you just gotta feed the beast.
All right, Chris, what is something that you like that most people don't?
I mean, what I'm going to say, there's people that do like it, but in my inner circle, like people around me, there's very few. So I'm going to say collecting cards still
Okay.
to this day. I'm a 37-year-old guy that still collects basketball, football, and baseball cards.
Dude,
And,
that's what's up.
Well, they're
And,
going to be
like-
worth so much one day, right?
I mean, I got cards that are worth thousands, like that
Yeah.
are in mint shape from when I was a kid. Like, I don't know. There's something about opening up a pack and like hitting something awesome. It's like, I don't know, the best
Also,
feeling
they
in the
smell
world.
awesome.
It's standing in the card shop and shooting the shit with the guys, ripping packs. I like that stuff.
The only people that talk about that their hobby more than people that collect cards are people that do CrossFit.
Yeah, and also John Mayer. I like him too.
Oh, John Mayer. Yeah, that's I think
bad.
he's pretty good.
Ew.
I'm a John Mayer guy. I like it.
All
You
right,
would never
Chris.
think.
All right, Kristen, what is something you like that most people do not?
Okay, I absolutely love this, and I have ever since I was a little kid. Underwood's deviled ham.
Underwood's
You guys
deviled
ever
ham.
had deviled ham?
I don't think I ever have.
Oh my God, from the packaging, it comes in this little white can like this. It's got paper around it with the red devil on it.
Does it lay deviled eggs?
No, nothing like that. And then the top is it's like a circle or something that you have to open up specially, and then you whip open the can, and it's got this layer of fat right on top. And the ham is so ground up so fine, it's like cat food. I mean, it's like that consistency
It's like
and that
minced
smell, and you slap it on some white bread, Miracle Whip. and it's like fucking heaven.
I'm sure I would love it.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Oh man. Okay, so that's another thing that just sparks these conversations. That's why I love these pod decks. No free ads. The white bread. I actually was just talking to my wife about this. As a kid, I loved that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can't ever eat it because it gets stuck in the fucking teeth. I have to at least toast it. Like if somebody just brings a loaf of white bread over, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fucking eat it, but I'm gonna put it in the toaster. Like,
Yeah,
do you guys still eat the white bread?
I get the mayo bread like in the roof of my mouth.
I do the potato. I do the potato bread.
The potato bread's good, dude.
That shit's real good, man.
I'm trying to think what it was that we've gotten recently. We got something recent that it's like crack. I've been making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches left and right.
Like a rye
Just make
bread
your
or something.
own. Just make your own bread, man.
Oh, I did not fall down that hole in this pandemic.
I
Like the
hated that.
making your own bread.
Oh my god.
I can barely make spaghetti, dude. You think I can make a loaf of bread? I would burn my kitchen down.
All I did was buy a bunch of stuff to try to do a Twitch stream, which apparently everybody in the world is trying to play video games on the internet now and will have everybody watch them. It's literally everything I do when everybody else is doing it. So then I'm just washed away in the amount, like the massive amount of people doing the thing that I'm doing. The thing that I like, and I can't wait to hear your guys' reaction. The thing that I like that not anybody else likes is
crack.
Oh, there's a lot of people that love crack, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I can find quite a few of those. No, I like cheap vodka. I'm going to tell you right now, I like cheap vodka. Kamchakas, the what is it? Heaven Hill, the Dark Eyes. Like I will drink all of those. A, it's cost effective. B, I usually drink it mixed with something, so I can't really taste the vodka anyways, but I do like a little hint of that taste. So, I like cheap vodka. I think I've been drinking it since I was probably 16, 15, something like that. And I'll still I always have a cheap handle of vodka to make my Bloody Marys. I always do like a Gatorade mix where I'll do the white Gatorade, the white Monster, and then vodka. It's delicious, man. It's one of the best drinks I've ever had, and I will continue to get fucked up on it because it keeps me hydrated, keeps me energized, and it gets me drunk. What else can you ask for right there?
I can't even smell vodka anymore. I think everybody's first drink was Dark Eyes when you're a kid, and I've gotten sick off of it so many
Blue
times.
label or red label? That's the big question.
Blue probably, but I can't smell it. We have hand sanitizer at work now because they're all COVID, keep everybody. And every time this cheap hand sanitizer smells like I just dumped a shot of Kamchatka on my hands every time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Time.
Oh man, it takes me back every time because I work in healthcare, so I smell that hand sanitizer all day, every day. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. This time, we're just going to switch it up just to change it up a little bit. We're going to go backwards. Kristin, what's your recurring nightmare?
Oh my god, I think it's always it's getting chased.
Oh yeah, and you can't run. You can't run fast enough.
Or getting in a car accident and then flying out of the car, and that feeling of flying, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you have that whole body spasm you get. I get that all the time.
Yep, where you feel like you're falling.
Yeah, and you hit something and my whole body will spasm and I'll wake up.
Making me do it right now. All right, Chris, what is your recurring nightmare?
See, I kind of took it a different way. If you literally nightmare, the only thing I can think of was when I was a kid, I would have nightmares that I was driving a car by myself and it would freak me the fuck out. I'd have that dream all the time.
What kind of car was it?
I don't probably our family car, I guess. But the first thing I thought of was the Patriots having a bad year and getting Trevor Lawrence in the draft and a dynasty starting over again. That is my
You don't
my
like
nightmare.
the Patriots, do you?
No, hell no.
I lived in Boston for 8 years, and I absolutely hate those Cheaters.
Good.
Oh.
But my
you gotta respect
nightmare is them somehow getting Trevor Lawrence the next thing coming out of college and then
the next
starting
draft.
over again. Yeah.
Oh God.
No. I'm with you on that.
That is a recurring nightmare. That is perfect. But dude, we are set up for probably one of the best seasons if it happens, because I'm not guaranteeing anything because of I want football so bad. I'm going to be as superstitious as possible. I'm not going to say that there's going to be a season, but we have a very exciting season coming up just for the sheer fact of the Brady Patriots thing alone. The fact that if he plays well, awesome. He didn't need Belichick. It doesn't matter. If he sucks, it's awesome because we knew that it was a system quarterback. He couldn't be good without Belichick. Like, we win both ways there. It doesn't matter either way. Like, it doesn't matter at all.
It's going to be a Montana on the Chiefs kind of situation, I think. He'll make it to the playoffs, get beat second or third round.
Yeah.
But the thing with football, I mean, they're reporting to camp they're not missing any time. Like, they're coming to camp,
which
regular
is good.
schedule, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Halo Star Wars helmets that they're saying that they could wear.
Dude, I think
that could be
Those are
cool, dude.
wild.
I think they look cool. All right,
Yeah.
Josh, what's your recurring nightmare?
Okay, this is kind of deep. So I have
Good.
lots of I have lots of ridiculous fears. Like, one is, I used to volunteer at the zoo, and I couldn't look into the giant dolphin tank because it was, you could walk into the dome, and you were surrounded by dolphins. And we'll talk about that at some other point. But I had this dream
They'll rape
where
you,
I'm.
dude.
Yes, dolphins are rapey.
Yeah, they
they're
will
monsters.
rape you.
So I'm walking in this aquarium, and I walk down this long hallway, and it's dark, and I swear to God, it's going to sound so elaborate, but I swear to God. And all of a sudden, there's a bright flash of lightning, and sure enough, it's a giant blue wall, clearly indicating that it's an aquarium, right? Because the lightning is coming through. And then I hear a noise like a low roar or some shit like that. Something from God's own fuck. And then it happens again, and then there's this form in there. I walk up to the glass, I see this giant monster thing, and then the glass starts to crack.
Ugh.
And then there's one more flash of lightning, and then the water hits me, and I wake up, usually in my own sweat,
You dream that shit?
That's crazy.
regularly.
Where do you
I've
get
had,
your weed at, man?
Don't ask questions you don't know the answer to.
Yeah, let's do this.
I don't know why, but it only
He's
happens.
having.
Like, it's weird. Like, when I go through weird shit in my life, that's the only time it happens.
Oh yeah.
So like, it's just it. I know
Stress
it's
is
coming when weird
definitely-
shit happens.
Do you have like a fear of water itself? Like, do you not like water?
No. Like, my fears are really dumb. They're heights, because as a fat man, gravity's always been my mortal enemy.
I hate heights too.
Number two, oddly enough, death. Probably because I'm in my 30s and I don't want to die yet. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that next adventure. I know
I'm
it's
a rapper.
inevitable.
So I don't fear death.
Right. And really, like, those are the two. Those are the two big ones. There's like other little things too, but it's not fear worthy. Like, it's like, gross.
Dude, I'm gonna live to be like 200-300 once all these modern advances
That's
in science
right.
happen. So
I'm gonna chop your head off and put you on a robot.
Like
That'd
I
be
said,
awesome, wouldn't it?
just download my consciousness into like something like The Sims or something like that.
Fucking
I'll
Johnny
be
Depp
completely
over here.
fine. I'll be completely
Like-
fine.
It was at Futurama where they like just the head.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah,
floating
yeah.
heads, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'll tell you guys a recurring nightmare that I have. This happens it's really weird because it's not like terrifying and it's not something that's scary, but I have this same like kind of repetitive kind of nightmare dream, whatever. So I'll have this dream nightmare where my teeth are kind of like falling out, like I'm pushing them out with my tongue. I'm like, I can just like kind of feel them wiggling and like flipping out of my mouth. But
Back
then
to the
like,
crack.
but what's really, but what's really weird is like further on into the dream, it always feels like somehow my teeth are back. So like I like will like push it out, but then they're there again, and it just freaks me out that they keep like coming out, but then they're back again. So that's like one of the nightmares I have. But then I have the classic one that I know other people have had. I haven't had it in a long time, and it really comes with stress, like what Josh was saying. I'm in like a life or death situation, and I have to protect myself, and I'm punching as hard as I can, and it just feels like I'm just like tapping the person, like, and
Now,
I can't
every
cause
time
any
this
damage.
happens, is the situation different, or is it the same situation?
It's different. It's always something weird. But I've had like, if we had a whole nother podcast, we could talk about dreams all day, because I have very elaborate, very crazy dreams. Like, it's insane.
Can I say one thing before we
Go
move
ahead.
on? I'm sorry to the lady in the chat, but to the other two
I'm
gentlemen.
not a lady.
Oh, I'm sorry. The other dream that really sucks is when you're getting ready to get it on with like a super hot chick.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And then you wake up and then you like close your eyes trying to go back to sleep. Like, put me back in my dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same exact dream. So I've been there.
And you always want to go back. And the thing is, it's awesome is I can sometimes go back. And like that's my favorite part about
Teach me, Obi-Wan.
about my dream.
Like
but that
lucid
was
dreaming.
yeah, it's I don't do it on purpose, but I can. There are times like, especially like the dreams where you can fly. Like I've been able to like have that. It's been awesome. So let's move on to the next question though. Those are all great answers. If you could undo one moment in your life, what would it be? And I'll start with Kristin again.
Oh God, one moment.
These questions,
Many.
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Many.
I'll go ahead and preface this. I'm gonna have to like try to think outside the box because I've done this whole deck, and there's been quite a few that are kind of similar. So while you guys answer, I'm gonna try to think of mine too. So go ahead again.
So you get time to think, and I
have to. I've answered a bunch like these. All I'm gonna say is, the time I got shot, like I'd undo that. Like I've talked about that 4 times in these videos. So I got to think of something different.
Okay, this one's not like life or death. Like I have had a gun pulled on me, but there wasn't much I could do about that. I didn't get shot, so it's okay. I would say this is a stupid one. It's not like life or death. But in college, a friend of mine asked me to go to a wedding with him, and I thought we were just friends because I was dumb and naive. So we took a road trip. I went to the wedding with him. I got really drunk at the reception. I tried to hook up with someone else, and he got so pissed off that he left me at the wedding to get back to college by myself in Canada.
Oh my!
Oh my!
He left
God.
me in freaking Ottawa, Canada.
Oh, you had to, eh?
Yeah. So this Canuck was sexy, and I wanted to hang out with him and not who I went with, which was stupid. But I thought we were just friends, so it was like free. It was free game to do that. And
how'd you get back?
Well, I had to stay with the guy I met in Canada for a little while. It did not happen, though. No, it didn't happen. Thank God. He turned out to be kind of a pig. But I had to drive with him for like hours back to Toronto, and then I had to get money to get an airplane ticket because this has been the 80s. This isn't like, it was a lot more difficult. And then I had to get a bus from the airport back to college. I mean, it took me an extra 2 days.
Just the fact you had to do it with payphones is terrible.
Yes, it was painful. Yeah, so the guy drove back by himself, dropped my clothes off at my apartment to my roommate, and said, "Oh yeah, she's still in Canada." And
oh my God.
Yeah, that was the stupidest thing. I really was naive, not thinking that he was expecting anything.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't really have a kind of response that just sucks. Like I would undo that as well. Chris, if you could undo one moment in your life, what would it be?
I don't know. I can go kind of deep on this one. Like I would probably go back to like school and stuff, and like focus more on like school and sports and everything instead of the partying aspect of it.
Yeah.
Getting in with people and caring what people think and being the popular kid, like it's not worth it. I try to preach that to my daughter, who is just like me in that sense, and try to tell her that nobody in your life right now absolutely matters except the people in this house. Like it's something you will not understand at the age you're at, but when you get older, you'll look back at what I just told you and say, damn, he's actually right.
The sucky thing about it is though, man, and it's tough to deal with. Kids and people certain ages, they're not gonna listen. Like no matter what great wisdom you
I didn't.
I know. Like I got tons of great wisdom given to me as a kid, and I listened to zero. I thought I knew exactly what I was gonna do. I thought I knew exactly what was up. I thought, oh, this is exactly how the world works. And then 5 years later, I'm like, oh fuck. This is way worse than what I thought it was.
I was getting recruiting letters in 8th grade and decided to just throw it all away and party and not care and be that guy.
Oh. But you can't ever,
But I don't have regrets. Trust me, I don't live with regrets.
Yeah, I feel the same way though,
Yeah. I mean, it made me who I am. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I wouldn't be here with juice in the morning right now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Josh, in one moment in your life, what would you undo if you could?
So there's I'm gonna shy away from the depth because we got pretty deep on these two.
Yeah.
There was this girl that, and just hear me out. So there was this girl that I had been talking to for a while, and we were really working things out. And she ended up coming to like this little birthday celebration I had at a piano bar in Indianapolis. I'm not going to name drop because it didn't give me any money. And you know, we're talking, and her ex shows up, like randomly shows up to this piano bar, and him and I have a wonderful conversation, and then which turns on him being an asshole, and then she disappeared
Okay.
forever. The other one is I had this massive asthma attack when I was 15 and I almost died. But other than that, everything's been
Damn.
kosher pickle, man. I mean,
No, I would say for myself, a moment, just like a specific moment that I would undo, it would be. It sounds super dumb, but I would undo the specific moment. I was a senior in high school. We had just gotten our asses beat by a team that we should never have gotten beat by. My friends and girlfriend at the time convinces me to go to a party in Anderson. I didn't want to go. I was pissed that we lost. But there was a lot of positives like coming in that year for football and, you know, the future after high school and everything like that. And as I was driving home from this party, I drank literally one probably like half full coffee mug of whiskey. Like I just kind of like drank it all the way down.
holy
Like,
shit.
and just kind of just swigged it and was just sitting there at the party. And then I was like, I finally like pouted enough that everybody wanted to leave and go home. And I was the one driving home. And the moment that I would change though is the girl I was dating at the time was sitting in the passenger seat. She leans over to like kind of kiss me because she's like kind of drunk and being like, you know, frisky or whatever. And like, you know, I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing, but I like lean over and like give her a kiss. But I kind of drifted over the middle line and kind of back. And then as soon as I did that, lights went on behind us.
Oh,
We got pulled over. Luckily, it was a cop that knew me because of like sports and like he was kind of a member of the community. So he was pretty cool about it. Like he didn't arrest me or anything, but he had me get in his car and blow in a breathalyzer. I blew a .04 or something like that. Not even like legally intoxicated, but he said since I blew anything, I had to at least be picked up by my mom. The crazy thing is the two friends I had in the back were freaking the fuck out because they had an ounce of weed on them, and they were like, they thought they were going to go to jail. And I remember being so angry as a young kid because I was like, these motherfuckers were way more drunk than I was. He let them drive my car home. He didn't breathalyze them. He didn't do anything with them. I was furious because he calls my parents. My mom comes, picks me up. He called all of my coaches and told them like, you know, what's up. And he said that he told my mom and I on the drive home, he was like, you should get up tomorrow morning and go to all your coaches' houses and apologize. And so I did that. And then I also had to go to my principal's house and apologize. And they were cool about it. They said, hey, we got to suspend you. We're not going to like make it, you know, news. We're not going to say that you got, you know, arrested or in trouble. We're just going to say that you have an injury because we know you've got some people looking at you. We're going to say you're going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks, but you're not going to be able to play for 2 to 3 weeks as punishment for that. And so I had to miss out on 2 games that we ended up winning against teams we had never beat before ever. And I wasn't able to play in those games. I couldn't even be on the sideline. I had to go watch from the stands. Like they wouldn't let me on the sideline. So it was like, if I could change that one moment, I would not lean over and kiss that dumb bitch because I would never talk to her ever again in my life. Like we dated through my senior year, and then, dude, that just was I have way more that I could get into with that chick. But if I could change one moment, that would be the fucking moment. That would be the moment because I had to miss out on 3 games. I still finished the year really well. We had a good year and it was fun, but we did get beat in the fucking first round of the playoffs, like to a team that
sectionals.
a team we beat mid-season, and I did play
to?
Shenandoah. I played in the game.
Always good.
We beat them
Bastards.
56-8 in the regular season, and then lost to them 21-19 in the sectional
I mean,
round.
they're a damn they're like a militant school, dude.
Oh,
Like
dude,
they're-
all the straight,
it's like a
the
cult.
fades, like the
You go
high
to
top
Shenandoah,
fades,
and it is a goddamn cult of kids
the high
that just
top
come
fades.
out and whip your ass. Like every time you go
Oh,
up
yeah.
there. Yeah.
But yeah, so that would be the moment I would change. So I thought that was a good one though. Like I said, it goes back to that high school thing. Like I keep trying to tell my little brother and sister they're getting ready to go to college. I'm like, you guys are about to have the most fun. Like, don't worry about what you dealt with in high school. Completely just like, if you don't like your situation, completely change your personality. Like I did. I changed my personality from middle school to high school because I wanted to have fun and I wanted to have a different life. So
I mean, you're going to become yourself.
yeah.
They're getting ready to become themselves like
Yep.
the rest of their life. Yeah.
All right, so we'll do this as the last question, and then we'll wrap it up. This is a good one, and I want to get some backstories to it. And we'll start with Josh this time. We'll go back around.
Thank you.
What was your first screen name
Oh my God.
Okay.
for the internet?
All right, here we go.
This should be good.
So, yeah, right. So when I was in high school, I did a lot of acting. And I would volunteer at the Children's Museum, and I was in a play called The Jungle Book. You know, you've seen,
Nice.
right? You've seen the movie. I mean, it's like it's basically movies, you know. But anyway, I was the Monkey King.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was pretty dope. It was pretty nice. I was the bad guy or whatever. And then I was also in something called the Indianapolis Youth Chorale, which is a division of the Indianapolis Children's Choir. That's a whole other story. So my screen name was King IYC Monkey. That's it. It's not awesome. It's not awesome, but
No,
that's
that's
what
cool,
it
though.
is.
That's cool.
That's what it is, man.
So you've got like a pretty big performance type bug in you, huh?
Yeah, it's a hell of a drug, man.
Well, there's something I will talk about a little bit more off the podcast.
Sure.
My buddy and I are working on like a fictional podcast, like kind of like with a storyline and things like
Oh,
that.
fuck yeah,
It's
let's do it.
audio drama. I'm sure we can find a good spot for you. I'm terrible
I'm down
at
to
it, but
clown.
I think it's really fun. Chris, you're next,
Yeah.
buddy. What was your first screen name?
All right, so I'm gonna say what it is, and it's the one I still have today. Dunkman42. When I first made my email in like junior high, like email was brand new, like internet was.
Oh, yeah.
It was that, and it's always.
Was it
it's been
AOL?
My gamer
Dunkman42 on AOL?
tag. I think it was Hotmail.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
dude.
So you
But,
didn't
I mean,
Like
use,
net zero.
Yeah, this is like dialing up.
you didn't use AOL Instant Messenger?
We had that stuff too, but yeah, it was always just Dunkman42.
Yeah,
Like
Dunkman
42 has been the number of the family. But
Yeah.
since mine is kind of boring, I do have a funny story. There's a guy at work, and his kid was like a 12-year-old kid, and his Xbox 360 got the Ring of Death. You remember those? Like,
Yeah,
Oh,
I do.
God.
Death, and it was terrible. So they had to call Xbox and get it set up to where they would ship it in, and then they would fix for like $90 and ship it back. It was how it worked back then. And his mom is on the phone, and the dad is telling me the story at work. So his mom's on the phone and talking to them, and they ask for his gamer tag. And she, pulls off the phone and goes, I need your gamer tag. And he said that he instantly looked scared, like he didn't want to say it. And he goes, she's like, what's your gamer tag? Then he got thinking it's like a 12, 13-year-old kid, and he's like, PP Vag Slam.
Oh my
It was
God.
capital P, lowercase BAG, all caps slam. He said that she flipped out, like she didn't even want to say it on the phone to him. Like,
God.
That's so good. All right, Kristen, what was your first screen name?
See, I'm so old, I don't even know what you were talking about, the Ring of Death. I have no clue. I'm
sure you didn't play a whole lot of Xbox either.
No, and I played Atari. We
Okay.
had an Atari back in the late 70s,
nice.
early 80s.
Little
We were
Paul.
like one of the only families that had Atari.
Nice.
But this is the thing. I didn't even get an email until I went to grad school in the late 90s. So
Wow.
it's my same email for Yahoo, K Carnes 67.
There you go.
I mean, that's it. It's so boring, but I didn't grow up with any of this like you guys did.
It's so funny because I'm so in the boat with both of you guys, with Chris and Kristen. my uncle, once again, it like ties it all together with these fucking cards. My uncle that I look up to as like the success person, he created my AOL Instant Messenger account so that I could play on AOL while he was at work. Once again, just hanging out in his office. AOL Instant Messenger name, Juice850R7, which is the same username that I've had for everything since the dawn of the internet.
Yeah, me too.
Play on it. Juice85OR7, because my 2 first years in football, I was 85. Then the senior or the junior or whatever that I was friends with that graduated, he like passed on his number to me, and then I was number 7 for my junior and senior year of high school because I always wanted number 7, but he had it since the time I was a freshman, so I couldn't get it. And so I got that number. So my uncle was like, Juice 85 or 7. That sounds good, right? And I was like, perfect. That's so cool.
And why Juice?
Come from?
Yeah,
Where's
exactly.
Juice
What's
from?
Juice?
Juice came from my math teacher in 8th grade. No, 7th grade. 7th or 8th grade. He called me Juicton, like joking around, like he was just like being silly because he was the football coach of the high school team. So like he would like come to our practices and like come talk to me and stuff. And he said that it's not that cool of a story. He said I reminded him of one of his teammates in college, and they called him Juice, and his name was Justin. So he called me that. And then in class, a bunch of the older kids, because it was like homeroom or whatever, a bunch of the older kids thought it pissed me off. So then they just like kept calling me that. And I actually thought it was cool. Like in the back of my head, I was like, that's pretty cool. Like we love Coach Rattabush. It's cool that he called me a nickname. And then it just stuck. And then my freshman year, we went on this, like we'd always do this football banquet, like right before the school year started. And a bunch of the older guys, I like during summer camp, I had made varsity by like just kind of performing well or whatever. And a bunch of the older guys were at this thing, and they like kind of like cornered me at this thing and said, hey, we're going to go cruise Broad after this dinner. And you know Newcastle, right, Chris? Broad Street in Newcastle. Like it's just like the main road that people would drive down and be fucks as like high school kids. But anyways, they basically said, hey, you're gonna ride with us and we're gonna go cruise, and then we'll take you home. And as they're like, we're driving, they're like, hey, Juice, you ever smoked weed before? And I was like, of course, yeah, I've smoked weed for sure. And so they
How
had
often did you cough?
Oh no, so listen to this. So they were like, obviously they weren't even pros, but they had been smoking in high school. They were a bunch of juniors and seniors. They built a little like bowl out of a can, like a Coke can.
Oh my God.
And had all the little like holes poked in it, and they hand it to me, and I hit it, and I like, cough my lungs up, and I get real stupid high, and we're just cruising country roads. It's the middle, it's like dark outside, whatever. And like I said, it's like out of a fucking movie. The senior quarterback turns around, looks at me, and he's like, Juice, you're going to get a lot of fucking pussy, man. And from that day on, I like became a partier. I always hung out with those guys. I wanted to be like the cool guy, because it's almost like they had me manifest that into my life, like by telling me that, and it just like changed my whole personality. And then the worst part of the whole story though is they're like, hey man, you're too high. You need to call your parents and see if you can stay the night with us, because you're really high. So then my anxiety starts going, and I'm like, okay. And we stop and use a payphone if we want to go full circle here.
Wow.
So I go to a payphone and I call my mom, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to stay all night at Derek's house. You cool with that? And she was like, no, we have to be at so-and-so's house in the morning. It's like on Saturday or whatever. We have to be at so-and-so's house in the morning. You got to come home now. And I was like, no, I can't do that. And so so basically I just like go tell them like, hey, you guys got to take me home. And they're like, okay. And they drive me home, and I just walk right in, and I go, sorry guys, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. And I like go into my room and just lay down. And I just remember staring at the ceiling, and like it feeling like the room was kind of spinning. Like I was just super high, and like I was kind of twitchy high. Like it was crazy. And then I slept okay. And then I woke up the next day, good to go. Cause back then you could just wake up and not feel anything from the previous night.
And they didn't know. They didn't know.
No.
that you were high? 'Cause
Oh,
my mom knew every time.
She definitely knew. Like my mom let me get away with a lot that she told me after the fact that she just like let it go because it wasn't that big a deal. As long as I was home safe, she wasn't that worried about it. All right.
Wow.
Do you guys have time if we run through these millennial things, or do you guys want to save that for maybe a different one?
Let's go, man.
I'm
You guys-
open.
I'm loving the first time you got high stories. That's 'cause I remember mine. I bought it from a dirty kid at school, and it was like a lot of seeds and stems, and because I always wanted to try it because I was really into rap. And we emptied a cigarette and stuffed the cigarette with it, and we did it out in like under my trampoline in town, like we thought we were hitting or whatever. And I remember going in and not feeling nothing, I'm like, I don't even feel nothing. And like sitting down and we started watching The Simpsons, and it fucking hit me, dude. And like I knew I was. And I look at my buddy and I go, let's go to the JV football game. There's a JV football game. Let's go to JV football game.
You always got to go somewhere.
So we get in his car and we drive all the way to the school. He parks in the parking lot. And at the same time, we both turn and look at each other and go, what the fuck are we doing? We can't go in here right now. Like, why did we drove to the school? Like, are we fucking morons? But yeah, that was my first time, man.
Oh,
Never
yeah.
looked back.
Oh, it's good times. But no, I pulled this up. I like that we have a wide range of ages because basically Gen Z is speaking up about millennials, and
Assholes.
technically I guess I'm a millennial. It's weird because I think Gen Z thinks that millennials are
Say the
90s.
ages. Where's the cutoff on Z and millennial?
So I posted that picture.
Yeah.
Let me
I kind of
look real
forget.
quick. Let me look real quick.
So I think
I know
millennials
I'm
started
an
like
X.
1980
I'm a
because Gen
X.
X ends at like 79, and I think millennials
Yeah.
start at 80 and go to like 90.
Because I'm
I want to say 94.
I'm 83, so I'm kind of cussed.
I'm 87.
Kind of
so-
close.
Yeah, so
Oh my
Gen X
God,
is
you guys are so
1965 to 1980. The baby, I think that's baby boomers, right? 1965 to 80.
No, that's the Gen
baby
X.
boomers
Gen
are
Baby
X is-
boomers is
64.
Yeah.
Baby
Oh,
boomers
okay.
is before that.
yeah.
Okay, and then
Baby boomers is when everybody came back from the war and just had like
Yeah,
87
just
kids
knocked-
apiece.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. They just cranked them out.
and then millennials are 1981 to 1995, and then Gen Z is 96 to 2012.
All right, I'm gonna grab a beer.
Okay, so I'm gonna let him grab that real quick. But basically, this article, which is, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of BuzzFeed. I don't know about you guys. They have some good articles sometimes. It feels like they do a lot of like clickbaity stuff, but this this caught my attention because of I wanted to take kind of the route of we're trying to be entertaining. We're not trying to focus on, you know, specifically everything going on in the world. So this, I think, is still kind of a competitive thing between millennials and Gen Z, but it's still fun to kind of hear what they think about us. So this is 25 questions millennials should answer that are funny because they're true. And it's a list of 25 things that Gen Z kids have tweeted. And I just want to kind of get our reactions and see how everybody feels about these. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Go.
So we're going to start with number 1. Why do millennials always say just did a thing? Bitch, you bought a cactus holder. Shut the fuck up.
I don't ever say that.
So
Yeah, I don't either. I
the
think that's
just
really
did a-
annoying as
the
fuck.
just
That's-
did-
that's-
You get some people doing that on Facebook. A
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
Women, I think, do that.
That's more of a female thing, though.
I
Isn't
would say so.
it?
Yeah, I would say
Like just
so.
did a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like got my hair did.
I would definitely make fun of my guy friends if he like shaved his beard and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
just did a thing."
Just did a thing. Might delete it later. Post a selfie. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Looking cute.
Yeah,
Yeah, looking cute. might
Feeling
delete.
cute.
yeah. The next one's kind of ties into the first one. Why do millennials end everything with, like, "What did I do?" Question mark.
I don't think I've ever said that ever.
Yeah, I don't think
I
I have
don't
either.
think I've heard that from anyone.
That's not. See, like I said, there's some stinkers in here, so we'll just move on to
It's
the
the
next one.
stinkers.
We're good. We're good.
This one I think is fucking great because oh my God, I think this on a regular basis. Why do millennials think being 30 is a personality trait?
Yeah. Because of Jay-Z.
Like everybody's like, oh, dude, I'm 30. Like, I have to completely change my life because I'm 30 now. Like it's not that much different.
It doesn't.
Like,
nothing changes.
I
Except
feel
your
the same
age.
today than I did when I was 21,
Right.
except for my hangovers just last an extra day now.
And
Oh,
also, like at age 28, I started making dad noises, so it doesn't matter. Listen, saying when you're reaching for something really pays off because you get that little extra 2 inches that you need.
Yes, it does.
It feels so good. It feels
Lift
so
up, lift up the opposite leg when you bend over. A lot more leverage.
So
there.
perfect. It's so perfect.
we got a really deep chair in our living room, and I have to like I gotta get a rock going to get out of it. Like it's tough. It's tough.
The big thing about hitting 30 for me is I finally like look back when I was a kid and like I'm 30 and like don't really know what the fuck's going on, you know what I mean? And like I look back and I'm like, man, my parents had no fucking clue when I was a kid. Like, did they feel like I do now? You know what I mean? Like I think about that all the time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I had this conversation with my mom the other day. I was like, what I'm starting to realize, because I always grew up as a like authority, like my football coaches, my bosses at jobs. I've always looked up to them, whether they're female, male, doesn't matter. I always looked up to them like they knew everything.
Yeah.
They get it. They know what's going on. Like they understand the world. And then I'm the same age that they were when they were coaching me or raising me, and I'm like, I don't have a fucking clue what's going on.
Exactly, man.
I know they didn't.
I'm on your level, dude.
Because they didn't even have the internet to figure it out.
I always think of the same thing.
They didn't even have Google to question why things are happening.
I still don't know how we got to destinations back in the day without navigation.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine a map and trying to get somewhere? There's no way I could do it.
I have
you had to write it down. You had to write the directions.
Like you'd have to go about 10 minutes that way, turn left at the second fence post,
yep.
two stop signs.
If you go past the strip club, you've gone too far.
No way.
And men and adults in general had a lot more pride in their direction skills. Like the guys that would describe like, hey, you go east on 135, you'll be like they were so proud that they would say it that way. And I would be a kid and I'd be like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about. I don't even know what north is right now.
Then when we got dial-up internet and MapQuest was a thing, I remember my mom and dad, like their heads exploded. Like they were like, this is amazing. Like we can print out directions.
I've told the story on the podcast before. My first trip to spring break in Florida that I was in high school, we still didn't have like GPS on, at least I didn't have GPS on my phone, and I didn't have like a navigator or anything. So we printed out the directions to Panama City Beach. And on the drive down, my friends and I decided we were going to moon this car of girls. So I roll my window down and I hold my ass out. And as I'm getting back in the car, the MapQuest directions whip out the window.
Oh,
it was, once again, like a fucking movie. Like it's like, oh, what do we do? We have no idea where to go now. Like we have no clue.
And Juice, you were going to get so much pussy that night too.
All right. Number 4, why do millennials only speak in GIFs or GIFs? You're 30. Use your words, baby.
That is me. 1 million.
I love them.
$1,000,000%. I do it all the time. No, I love it. I love it.
I'll respond very often in a GIF.
I will scroll through 1,000 GIFs just to find the right one.
Because you want to find the good one.
Yeah.
That's big eggplant.
That's also tied into this.
That's emoji though, right?
Oh yeah, but
I don't know. Whatever.
Because I know the eggplant.
That's in here too. And then this number 5, why do millennials love to mention that they're alcoholics like it's a goal to achieve liver failure? That is 100% true.
Oh shit.
I think it stems from us growing up and competitively drinking. At least I did in high school. It was like
I did.
Who can chug out of this vodka bottle for like a 5 count?
And
like
I think,
a 1,000, 2 1,000.
This is gonna seem crazy, but we also grew up with a lot of like party heavy movies and party centered movies, and a couple movies come to mind like shit like American Pie.
Oh yeah.
And Accepted. Like for me, Accepted is one of my favorite movies, and it's all about going to fucking college and getting drunk and do what the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
That's all it's about, and that's what we grew up with.
I think also I'm gonna say this to the we're millennial. What are they called? The new
Gen
ones.
Z.
Yeah. So to them, I noticed this when I like got out of school and it happened like recently after like we were drinking and maybe smoking a little weed. Like it feels like as soon as I left school, it was like we don't drink anymore. We take every fucking pill that we can get our hands on. You know what I mean? Like they were like drinking, not they like made it not cool.
Yeah.
Like it was like pills and stuff was like what was cool.
And what I'm gonna say to Gen Z is stop being a bunch of fucking pussies and drink
And
some
pill
beer.
heads. Yeah. Pick up a beer and put the pill bottle down.
Yeah, and stop doing so much Molly.
What is Molly? I don't even know what Molly is. Is it ecstasy?
It's the stuff in ecstasy that makes you feel it. So it's like ecstasy
like
times
MDMA?
1,000.
Is that what that is?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And it comes in like a what, powder form typically?
MDNA got you feeling like a champion.
Yeah.
City never sleeps, better slip you an Ambien. It's Jay-Z. He's another one that made you feel good about 30.
Number 6, why do millennials think they're special? Everyone knows what a VHS tape is, buddy. Sit down.
I don't.
Fuck VHS tapes, dude. I hated them things.
I do too.
You didn't rewind it. You didn't get your money back. Remember had like rewinding and renting VHS? And I was always jealous of the kids that had the fast rewinder.
Oh yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
Yep. I had the VHS player that would automatically rewind when you were done watching the movie.
Yeah.
So we never had to deal with
fancy.
Blockbuster fees.
Now, do you guys remember your heads being blown like from CDs to tapes? I think that was more than DVDs to VHS.
Yeah.
CDs to
For a
tapes.
nightmare.
Huge.
Tapes would always like.
Oh man,
come out
CDs and the sound quality. Dude, I remember CDs costing like $87 at Walmart when they came out. They were expensive as fuck, dude. I'm telling you.
You're just that much further. Like what's crazy is your age is just that much further ahead of me that like a new CD was $20. Like like when a CD dropped
like $20
to $25 and like you could get the new like Will Smith or Eminem album.
See, like when I little, it was rare to get a new. Like when Dad got the new Garth Brooks CD, at Walmart, that was a big deal.
Double Live, baby. Double Live was probably like $130.
No Fences or any of them first ones, like John Mellencamp. I remember Scarecrow. We bought that album. But yeah, it was. That's weird.
The good news is
we had an 8-track in our conversion van.
Wow.
That had side pipes on it with a little Cobra on it. And
oh, hell
yeah. Inside and a couch that turned into a bed. My brother would take all his friends down to Chicago to go see Journey. Party in that van.
Man.
And
so much weed.
No, they didn't do weed.
Really? Would have been a lot cooler if they did.
Back then.
The 8-track, like what's crazy about that is I miss that. So what is that like device? Is it like a tape? Like does it have tape?
It's like a cassette
big.
player. But it's big like this. It's real thick and it's about that big. And it's just like a cassette and you push it in and part of it sticks out, the title.
But it's only like 2 songs, isn't it? It's like
No, they had whole albums with 8 tracks.
Probably
I don't remember.
Modern advances in 8-track technology.
Now, do you guys remember like your grandma and grandpa playing like home videos and it was like a fucking real thing?
Yes.
And they would project it.
I'm
Dude,
too young.
we would have that in the basement all the time. That's crazy.
I remember my dad with our cable box would try to tune in the Playboy channel. And he would be downstairs by himself when I would come home from parties in high school. What are you doing, Dad? Oh, I'm just watching this. And he'd be sitting there by himself, basically listening to the noises.
We talk about it on Highly Inappropriate a lot. Like my first like jack off sessions ever were going back and forth on the movie channels, like on cable, until I could see through the static and maybe see like a movie or something.
Oh yeah, dude.
Remember doing that?
Been there. Did that on spring break with a family vacation. While everybody else went to the beach, I was figuring it out.
We'll stay back. I'm stressed.
All right, number 7, which I think we'll skip past this pretty quickly because I'm not interested in this at all. Why do millennials love Funko Pops so much?
I don't
What is a
know what
Funko
that
Pop?
is.
Funko Pops they're those little dolls that like have the big head and they're like kind of cartoony, but they're all like
Matt.
Yeah, they're all like nerdy
I'm just
stuff.
kidding. I've got 2 of them. I'm good.
I got one. I got Babe Ruth right up there.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah, man.
But that's the only one I got. They talked me into it at GameStop.
I've never really gotten into those, and I didn't know anything about them, so I'm not really worried about that. This one,
my co-host Matt has thousands. That's what he collects. For real, that would be his. What do you like that everybody else don't?
Yeah, and Matt's a collector though. He is a collector.
Yeah, he is.
He like
I
collects a
thought
lot
I
of stuff.
was. I thought I was. Like you can see my wall and like all my stuff until I met Matt, and I was like, wow.
But he has like it's weird with Matt. Like, and this is not a shot at him. It's just weird with him that it's so many different things that he likes to collect.
Yeah,
like he just likes to collect everything.
Yeah.
I think that's called hoarding.
Yeah, he's in the early stages.
Expensive hoarding is what Matt is.
Number 8, why do millennials insist on DMing posts from private meme pages and drinking LaCroix?
What the fuck?
What that is.
All right, let's see here. DMing posts from private pages.
From private meme pages. I didn't even know private meme pages existed.
I'm in some. I don't DM them, but I will screenshot and text to friends group chats. I will do that. And what's the drink?
Drinking LaCroix. It's that.
It's some water, isn't it?
It's that flavored seltzered water, but it's not. It's not alcoholic.
So the way it works is that you have someone stand in another room and shout fruit flavors while you drink seltzer water.
Yep, and that's what it tastes like.
That's kind of how it is, yeah.
Because it has almost zero of the taste, but there's like a hint of it. To be honest, this tweet would have been better if she would have said drinking White Claw, because I think that would have gone a little bit better. This one I love, and I guarantee you, Chris and Kristin might have heard this one before, because my entire high school career was this. What the fuck does fucking A mean, and why do millennials say it to me?
Fucking awesome.
Fucking A.
Awesome.
Fucking A, man.
It's a movie. What was the movie? It's from a movie.
Is it Dazed and Confused or no?
Oh my gosh, that's gonna kill me, dude. I want to say it's
I
like
don't
an
know.
Adam.
Why did somebody look it up online right now? It's got to be.
Fucking
it can't
A.
be like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, is it?
It's fucking A, man.
We said Big Lebowski. It's the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, I think that is what it is.
It is?
Yeah, it's the Big Lebowski. Yeah.
My neighbor just walked in the garage, just taking 5 pictures to post on this, like a celebrity.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
He said, "Fucking A, man."
That's an awesome thing. I like that thing.
Yeah.
It is the Big Lebowski. That is it.
Okay.
It says the phrase is first recorded in print in 1947 in Norman Mailer's World War II novel, The Naked and the Dead. Mailer has a character say, "You're fucking A." Gallagher snorted. The actress Tallulah.
It was in a movie from our time.
Yeah, no,
I know it was.
Yeah,
I know it was.
That's your millennial showing right there, saying it that way. But all right. Why do millennials think dildos are so funny?
Because they are.
Oh my God. Okay, I've got.
I got one after you're done. You're done.
All right. So for me, it's playing Grand Theft Auto. In Grand Theft Auto, you could go down to the basement of the police station or something, and there's showers, and there's this giant purple dildo that you could grab and beat the shit out of people with in Grand Theft Auto. Vice. It was actually it started in it started in 3, and then it carried on to Vice City and San Andreas. But after that, you can't do it.
Wasn't there a dildo gun? There's like a
you're thinking of Saints Row.
Yeah, that is. But
Saints
same
Row.
people. Same people.
No,
Rockstar.
it's a different company, but it's the same. It's the same style.
Oh, that's not Saints Row's not Rockstar.
No, it's not Rockstar.
Oh,
wow.
My bad.
I did not
okay.
expect this to go to video game.
Kristin, why do you think dildos are funny?
Because they're so unrealistic, for one thing. The best dildo, though, is the 2-headed dildo.
The double donger, baby.
The double one where 2 chicks can use it, or you can use it, I guess, on yourself.
Oh,
That's hilarious. That's funny.
Oh, yeah. All right. 2 dildo stories. I remember finding our buddies' mom's dildos when we were in high school and laughing. Obviously, everybody did that. But the big one for me is I remember sitting in this garage, man cave, big-ass TV, buddies over watching Red Zone, and it was the game where they threw the dildo out at the Patriots. And we were watching live.
Oh, yeah.
We were watching live, and it bounced on the field.
Buffalo Bills.
And I paused my TV, and I looked at my buddy. Some of them were on their phones, and some were watching. And I looked at him, and I was like, "Was that a fucking dildo, dude?" And they were like, "No."
Man.
They're like, "No." And I was like, "Dude, that's a dildo." And I rewound it. We all got up right on the TV, and we watched it hit, and we could tell by the flop. And dude, we lost it.
It's more like this.
Oh.
They are funny. Fuck Gen Z. Dildos are funny.
Dildos are funny. Fucking dildo.
Why do millennials name their kids like that? Who told them that Lakeland and Emberley were good options? At Gen Z, can we please not continue this shit?
Yeah, I met
Lakeland
a woman
and
named Septemberly.
Oh, that's
Wow.
good.
Couldn't believe it. I looked at her and she's like, "Yep, that's my name." And I was like,
I like that.
"Oh my god."
It's funny because I can't imagine a world where I get old enough and I'm maybe worked my way up in my company and I'm like head like a vice president or something, and I'm like looking to hire a guy and his name's Aiden. Like
Pass.
I don't think of that as like a strong man name. Like, hey Aiden.
Man, I'm sure you guys are Bob and Tom fans. Like Tom Griswold's #1 rule when you name a kid, you say the whole name, and if it couldn't be the name of a president, you do not name your kid that. That's his #1 rule.
That is good. That is good. I'm kind of worried about my daughter because growing up, my name was obviously Justin Kelly. So the first thing everybody did was Smelly Kelly. So my daughter's name is Elliot. So it's going to be Smelly Ellie Kelly. So
Yeah.
she might be
Should've
in
thought of
for
that.
some terrible times in school, but.
Well, hopefully Juice in the Morning takes off and she's rich. So.
Yeah, there you go. Then she can tell
Then
them
you
to
can do
fuck
whatever
off
you
anyway.
want. Yeah, they can do whatever you want then.
All right, so we're going to move to the next one, number 12. This is why, like I said, this whole podcast just flowed perfectly. Why do millennials compare everything to Harry Potter? Like, shut the fuck up.
Never seen it.
Never seen it, never read it. Nothing.
Never.
I love
I have
Harry
never
Potter.
seen
I've
it.
seen all the movies. I read all the books.
I've
Lord
read
of
all
The
books, I've seen
Rings,
all the
yes.
movies.
When
Lord
I
of
was-
the Rings, stuff like that. but
When I was a
never Harry
kid,
Potter.
I went to the midnight release of The Goblet of Fire. And-
Okay, you need to move on.
and-
Josh.
No, I did. I
Oh
did
my
like the
God.
books. I would go to like the.
Don't admit that.
My mom took me and I was like asking her like, why are all these people like dressed up as the characters? Like, that's weird. And
That's
she's like,
weird.
I don't know. There's just people that do that, I guess. Apparently I was seeing cosplay when I was like 9 years old. Okay. Number 13. Why do millennials always go apeshit over the eggplant emoji? Like it is specifically a millennial thing.
That's you.
Comes around full circle again.
Love it.
Right.
Call
There's nothing
back right
funnier than eggplant water splash.
Oh. Oh.
It's so
I've-
stupid.
I toss that thing out there quite a bit.
Oh my god.
That's my reply to every picture. Like, dude, check this chick out. Eggplant water splash. Yeah.
Number 14. Why do millennials take photos with a Polaroid, then take photos of the Polaroid photo?
Never heard
I don't
of
do that. I've never.
No.
Like a camera?
All right. Hold on. That is because back in the day, that's all you had.
Yes,
and then if
we
you
did.
find a picture of back in the day of the Polaroid, you take a picture of the Polaroid with your camera phone. I've done
Then you
that
can,
a lot.
yeah, and then you can save it forever because it's on the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
If I had a camera phone back in the day, you spoiled pricks, I would have took it with my camera phone, but I didn't.
Hey, be
Get 'em.
thankful we didn't
Get
have
Get 'em,
We had it
Chris.
rough, man. We had it rough. We didn't know if the picture was good or not. Like we had no clue. You had to wait till it, you got it back.
Took a lot of butt pictures, like, and
Oh,
just like,
rough
oh, this
days.
is gonna be funny, and take it
Yeah.
and then click it over. You're like,
Remember stealing your buddy's camera when you didn't know and just snapping a picture your down your
Oh, yeah.
pants,
Oh,
so
yeah.
they would see it when they developed it.
yeah, I actually, my mom got one of her, who was it? Like, it was. She got one of her friends in trouble because one of my disposable cameras was left out in like the kitchen or whatever. And my mom and my stepdad and like his friends had a party and they like got drunk. And like one of the guys took the camera and like was taking pictures of his dick and asked like what you were talking about.
Oh,
And then
God.
I took it to go get it developed. And like I was like, my mom was the one who picked up the pictures for me.
Fucking dad dick pics in there. Was that your first dad dick?
Oh yeah. It was quite.
I remember my
quite
first
stressful.
dad dick. I
It
remember
was just
seeing my
weird.
first
Like
dad
it didn't
dick.
really bother me. Like I didn't feel like shocked or anything. I was just like, what the fuck is that? Like there's way too much hair. It's weird and lumpy. Like what's going on? Like that's
I didn't
weird.
dunk, man. Get my camera.
Number 15. Why do millennials love soup so much? I don't really.
I don't
I
think
like
so.
soup, but I'm not that worried about it.
Soup is
Nah,
good, but that's about
That's
it.
not a thing.
I don't crave it, but I will eat it. But I will eat most things.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
Wait,
a
wait,
thing.
hold on. Does it say what kind of soup? Like, because I'll get down. I'll like murder a man for some good potato soup.
Yeah. The tweet
Charlie?
just says, "Why do
Just
millennials
like
love soup?"
in general, good potato soup anywhere. I'll just.
Oh, that's good.
I'm a big homemade vegetable soup guy.
Yes.
I'll pass on that, dude. I don't need no vegetables. Number 16. Why do millennials? This is another food-based one. Why do millennials add mac and cheese to everything? Mac and cheese burgers, mac and cheese poutine, mac and cheese depression. Like, stop.
Yeah, I don't get you guys with the mac and cheese. I don't get that at all.
Man, you put that on anything, I'm down. Mashed potatoes,
100%.
Hot sauce. So that's what I want on it.
Oh, dude. So take a little bit of sriracha, put it on your mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Throw that on a taco. You're good.
I mean, we were poor. I mean, fish sticks and mac and cheese was a weekly thing at the household there where I grew up.
Am I
hamburger helper? I grew up on hamburger helper.
Am I too hoity-toity that we only ate shells and cheese when I was growing up?
Oh wow.
Get out of here! I don't like the shell. I like the
I love the shells and
with
cheese.
your fork like 1,000 times to get the shells.
No.
I
love the shells and cheese. Number 17. Why do millennials think that not downloading TikTok makes them an adult? Like, grow up.
Like, don't they know that? Like,
TikTok. I'm not worried about it.
Isn't there like some story that says it's like a thing that pedophiles go after? Like Russia.
They spy on you. Yeah.
Russia, China, pedophiles, like really all of them.
Sure.
And to be honest with you, dude, I downloaded TikTok.
The big three.
It's better than Shaq and Kobe right there.
Oh,
that was what was the third one? Because there was the big three with Shaq, Kobe, and
you're thinking LeBron, Bosh, and Wade.
Okay.
Oh, you're thinking about Rodman, Jordan, Pippen.
Yeah, same thing.
That was my first.
Dance, woo!
Oh, great. I loved it.
But no, when it comes to TikTok, dude, I'll be 100% honest with you. It's
hilarious.
It's kind of tough because you're scrolling through and you'll see somebody doing one of the dances and like, is this a young kid that's a girl or is it like a 23-year-old girl? Like, I just have to scroll past quickly. Like,
should I hide my boner or should I let it show?
Like, do I want to get arrested for this?
Am I one of the big three?
Yeah.
Should I keep going?
Okay, on that note, I gotta get going. So thanks for having me on. I gotta take off, but thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, Kristin Carnes. Stay in touch with me on Facebook. We'll get you.
Definitely.
We'll share your stuff and we'll get you back on the show sometime soon.
Cool.
Okay.
And nice to meet you, Chris and Josh.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, you can come on our podcast anytime. Let's you DM me. Let me know.
Okay, cool. That'd be awesome. All right, take care.
See ya. All right, we're going to finish this up quick. We'll go through these. Why do millennials only post TikToks of them dancing to music from 2003 and holding their 6th glass of wine?
I've never made one.
Yeah.
I've never made a TikTok.
That's definitely on the female side again. Why do millennials use nouns in the place of verbs? I can't math. Englishing is hard today. I fucking agree 100% with you Gen Zs on this. It's fucking annoying.
It's annoying as fuck.
I'm adulting today. Shut the fuck up. You're 32. You should have a job.
That's right.
Like, come on. Number 20, millennials always shit on boomers for carpeting hardwoods in the 70s. But who's the one painting over original brick and high quality wood furniture?
Oh, carpeting hardwood. I do get mad about the carpeting hardwood.
I kind of get annoyed.
Well, they
by
did.
That too.
The baby boomers did that in the 70s, and they're basically calling us out saying that we're painting over brick and wood furniture. So
the worst was the wallpaper.
Oh yeah, good God! And it was so hard. It's so hard to remove.
Terrible.
All right, this is another one. Number 21. Why do millennials care so much about the fact they're 90s kids? Sis, we know that's when you grew up. That's normal, whatever. I'm not that worried about that one.
90s kids are the best, by the way. I'm sorry. That's the best.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
The 90s was the best time to grow up.
So let me throw a counterpoint there. I don't think you can say you're a 90s kid if you were born in like 91, 92, 93,
right.
whatever.
No. I was born in 83.
And I was born in 87.
And people, I'm an 80s baby.
You're an 80s baby and 90s
kid.
Yeah.
There you go.
So fuck these other millennials that are like, oh, I was born in 94. I'm a 90s baby. No, fuck off. Like, you didn't even get to experience the 90s.
Yeah, I lived it. And
You
it
weren't
was
even old
great.
enough to really remember
It's
it.
fucking awesome.
Dude, we had the best, like, of every genre of music at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, think of our music. It was and absolutely incredible. Every genre. And sport, it was just great.
Things were way
Loved
more
it.
hype, I think. Things were way more hype. Like, I think
It's
there's
because
so-
internet wasn't around the whole time.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why I play
Internet
dope-ass
ruined
board
life,
games.
dude. Internet ruined life.
it did.
It made
but-
it easier and ruined it at the same time.
Yes. And it's a thing like I've talked about on the podcast before. Like as I've gotten older, it feels like things just aren't that big a deal anymore. Like I'm not that excited
Right.
about anything. And I remember in the 90s, it was like, fuck yeah, Denver's playing in the fucking Super Bowl. It's John Elway's second Super Bowl. Woo!
Yeah. Like
Like-
I hate not being able to. You can't tell nobody nothing. Like
And
they're
you
like, yeah, I seen
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I read
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
I hate like talking to a family member you haven't talked to in forever, and they're like, oh, so and so told me about that. He saw it on your Facebook,
Yeah.
and like it like ruins the story. My wife gets so mad about that.
I mean,
Like
you know,
her,
because
her
of-
aunts will tell her grandma stuff, and then she'll see her grandma for like around like Christmas, and her grandma already knows everything because their aunts tell them because of Facebook. She hates it.
I mean, for me, like social media with my family has gotten me closer to my family. But I've noticed that as I'm an old man, whatever, I get excited by things that I got excited about as a kid. Like, for example, Pokemon cards. For some reason, like I swear to God, OG Pokemon cards, buying and selling them is awesome,
It's
and
fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like it's the hunt, it's the finding the, oh my God, remember the first edition, blah blah blah, bullshitamon,
Yeah,
like
that's-
whatever.
That's how I
So-
am with baseball cards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's kinda
dude,
the same
it's just
thing.
that's the kind of shit that I like.
See, I got something for you. You're a nerd. Did you play Magic?
I did briefly,
Yes.
very briefly.
When he said reoccurring nightmare, that's exactly what I started thinking of. The black deck, the reoccurring nightmare in the
Fucking hate
grave.
that deck, dude.
All right,
Uh,
sorry.
No,
Go
you're all
ahead.
right.
Totally derail the conversation.
I'm gonna run through these really quick because they kind of start to kind of repeat themselves. Why do millennials say we're annoying when all they do is complain about their back problems and drink cheap wine? Once again, I think these are directed at a lot of the
And
females.
a lot of women, yeah.
Why do millennials still think gifts are funny? It's not 2015.
I love them.
Why do millennials lose their mind whenever they hear a song from a 90s Disney movie? Because they're fucking awesome.
Hell
like-
yeah.
Dude, one of my favorite things to do is a Disney movie power hour.
Yes.
It's on YouTube, and they do all of the Disney Pixar movies. Like, I know Pixar is a little bit out of the 90s, but they do all the movies.
No, it
and
wasn't.
I mean, I know. I'm just saying a
90,
majority
90
of them.
sorry,
are-
I'm sorry. I go on. Sorry.
yeah, no, you're fine. But it's a 90s or it's a Disney movie power hour, and you fucking take a shot of beer every fucking minute for the whole
Oh my
hour.
God. Wow.
And you end up
So-
drinking about 4.5 beers.
So that's what a power hour is?
Yep, you drink a beer every minute, and so the YouTube helps because it plays the like 1 minute of the song, and when it changes songs, that's when you drink, and then you fill your drink up when it starts the next song. By the end, you're struggling to keep up. In the beginning, you're waiting for the song to change, and you're like enjoying yourself, but at the end, you start to kind of get a buzz.
See, McAfee and them talked about pre-gaming, and they said they were throwing a power hour.
Oh yeah,
And
Oh,
I
God.
had no idea what they were talking about.
dude, I have
They
a
would play
very-
like an old rap power hour is what
Yep.
they would say. And then
I have a very strong urge to like use this live streaming capability and do a fucking power hour with the Facebook Live.
that would
Like,
be
and tell
awesome.
everybody they need
For
to join.
charity.
Well, yeah, for charity. That's even better. Then it's even better.
We have a reason to be alcoholics, you know?
And then, because like I said, it's truly not that much. It's only 4.5 beers, I think, by the end. Like, because you're doing 1 ounce.
But it's
pours.
like, isn't it stacking up on top of each other? And that's
yeah,
what,
I mean, it's
because the
over
alcohol
an hour,
has a
so it
second
gives.
to kind of.
So it definitely gives you a buzz because you don't give the alcohol time to work its way out of your system. But I
Sure.
think that would be a really fun thing to do. Number 25, the last one. Why do millennials act like growing up in the 90s is a personality trait? At BuzzFeed, I'm talking to you.
Because it is.
Because it is. Because
Yeah,
we grew
fuck
up
yeah.
in these streets, in these
That's right.
90s streets.
You don't know how Gin and Juice hit in 94. Like,
I
you don't know
know.
how, when you
Right.
had no CDs and you had to hear it on the radio and wait by your radio to hit record on a tape
Oh yeah.
to have it on tape so you had your favorite song.
I
They
used to
have no idea what that was like. That
used to
struggle.
listen 96.3 for the Mickey Ficky mix so that
Oh,
I
the
could
hot,
Oh my
the hot
God.
99.
so I could record because the Mickey Ficky mix was always DJs playing newer or
Yes,
different songs.
yes,
So if
yeah.
I recorded that, then I could go to my LimeWire and download the songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
and
I
give
didn't have
ads to my
LimeWire.
computer.
I had a blank tape and downloaded Warren G regulators. Hit record on my blank tape radio. So
That's
I had
awesome.
it to rewind
Oh
and play
my
again.
All right. So
Oh.
the good thing about this whole situation is I'm pretty sure that my anchor stopped like recording, but the good thing is I recorded the Zoom, so that's perfect, and it'll
Awesome.
have the Zoom will have the audio and the video. So I'm going to post this as a video on Facebook, and then I'm also going to post the audio as the podcast. Before we get out of here, Josh, I appreciate you jumping in and
Thank
having
you.
a good time with us. This was a blast. Honestly, Dunk Man, if you're free and if you guys are free and we want to jump back on here and do different
This was
stuff
fun.
next week, dude,
This
we
was
Yeah,
real
dude, let's
fun.
do it. I'm down to clown.
we
Yeah,
can
I would
definitely
do
do
it
it again because
Hey, real fast, subscribe, rate, review, Highly Inappropriate
Yep.
Podcast.
see the shirt. See the shirt. Show them the shirt.
Yeah, show the shirt. Highly Inappropriate Podcast on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Look us up. Dunkman42 on Twitter. Follow me. Let's do this.
Yep. And then next week, I am going to skip the live Thursday because we are moving on Friday. So
Nice.
we're purchasing a new house. We're moving up to Westfield. It's kind of like the
You'll be
poor-
closer. You'll be closer to me, man.
It'll be the more poor part of Carmel, I guess.
A little classy up there. though.
Listen,
I'm
Westfield's
working
really
my way
nice.
up. I'm working my
Westfield's
way up.
really nice.
Yeah, real nice. Carmel's like ugly redheaded step.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's Carmel. Listen, Carmel is like the hot rich mom that got all the Botox 20 years ago, and now all the
Yeah.
Botox is starting to fail.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Gracious. All right.
A lot of Karens up there. You better be careful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
So
A lot of Karens.
This is Juice in the Morning podcast. Thank you guys once again, Chris, for joining in. Follow them at Highly Inappropriate on all social media. Is it different on different social media? It's Highly Inappropriate, isn't it?
Yeah, we're highly inappropriate.
I think if you just search, if you
Highly
just search
Inappropriate
Highly
Podcast will
Inappropriate
pop
Podcast,
up. Look for the logo.
you'll find it. And then if you're listening, you already know where to find the Juice in the Morning podcast. And the live Thursday is going to not be next week. We'll jump it back up on, I think it's July. Like, I don't know exactly, 2nd or something like that. And then it'll be a great one because I don't have to work on July 3rd.
I don't
This
either,
is
boys.
close.
Yeah, me either. I'll be available.
So we'll pick it up back again. I think on July 2nd. The Twitch stream also will pause, but as soon as I get off here, I'm jumping on Twitch. We're gonna play some Call of Duty Warzone. So if you like to play video games, watch video games, join me at it's twitch.tv/Juice in the AM, and all social media is at Juice in the AM. Thanks again, guys. We will talk to you guys soon. I appreciate you joining. We'll see you next time.
All right. See you soon.
Peace.
Peace.